I'm joined now by Adam Guillette. He's the president of Accuracy in Media and also the author of the new USA Today op-ed, COVID-19 vaccine trials. I took the coronavirus vaccine. Get politics out of its rollout. Adam, thanks for coming on the program and being America's human guinea pig.
Thank you so very much. I was in phase 3. The brave folks in phase 1 were the guinea pigs.
That's right. Yeah, you got it easy. This is a pretty cool thing. I mean, I actually also volunteered for the vaccine trials. Did not get in. They deemed me too sexy to be representative of the American people. So, that's my own cross to bear. But you were able to get in, and you're in Florida, and you decided to go through with the vaccine. Can you tell me why you did it and what your experience was?
Absolutely. I'm the head of a grassroots activist organization, Accuracy in Media. And every week I'm on the road meeting with donors, meeting with activists, meeting with our investigative journalists. And even though I'm not worried about COVID-19 for myself, I'm young and fairly healthy, I would never asymptomatically want to give it to someone else, especially someone older. So when I heard there were vaccine trials being done in our town, particularly when I heard they were Moderna and Pfizer trials, which are the fancy new mRNA vaccines, I checked with my family, who many of which have a background in medicine, and I signed up.
So tell me about your experience. I mean, how do you know? I mean, did they give you a call? Did they reach out to you? How did you know you were going to get involved in it? And then what was the process like to get it?
Pretty straightforward. I called over the phone and they said they would get back to me. And finally they did. I went on in, met with one person. They explained how the process went. They explained that it was a 2-year trial, but you could drop out any time. And one of my chief concerns, well, what happens when the vaccine actually comes out? What if I got the placebo? How will I know to get the vaccine? But they told me that typically they unblind the trials as soon as a vaccine is widely available. So I knew either way I would be able to get the vaccine, and those in the trials usually get early access at it.
Okay.
So I went in a few weeks later, got dose 1, then got dose 2 3 weeks after that.
Okay, and so you go in, you get dose 1 and no side effects at all. You did have slight side effects in dose 2, is that right?
Yeah, dose 2, I was up all night with chills. The next day I had a mild fever, like 100.5. So I called them over the phone. They said, take a couple Tylenol, see what happens. If it goes above 102, you're going to need to come in, which was bad to hear because I was currently flying to Iowa. But I took the Tylenol. My temperature went right down. The next day I was back to normal. I ran 5 miles, ran 10 miles the day after that. And now I guess I don't have to worry about COVID-19.
I will say running 10 miles is not normal. So I want to just make sure you're aware of that going forward.
I had never actually run before that. It's amazing what this vaccine can do. No. I should, the caveat, I am a runner. But yeah, I was back to normal, pretty much 90% normal 24 hours later.
I was kind of hoping for the superhuman strength thing to be a side effect, but that's a whole other story.
That's the only reason I signed up. They let me down.
So you go through this, obviously it seems like you have the vaccine and not the placebo if you're having some side effects. You go through this process, generally positive. I think one of the things I'm fascinated about, because obviously you talk about accuracy in media all the time, is the lack of criticism that people like Kamala Harris and Andrew Cuomo, who is awful, get for this. I mean, they have been out in front of the American people telling them we need to be skeptical of this because Donald Trump was involved. Now, Donald Trump, as far as I know, is not mixing any vaccine potions behind the scenes. This is, I think, really harmful and was utilized really risking people's lives for politics.
It's disgusting to see them put politics ahead of human life. Cuomo said that they in New York don't trust the CDC and they want to do their own testing of the vaccine before it's delivered. If anybody wants to talk about politicizing COVID-19, Cuomo was an abysmal failure. He's the grandma killer. He ordered those nursing homes to accept positive COVID patients. He needs to get the heck out of the way and allow us to survive COVID-19. And to your point, exactly, every time I went in and got doses of the vaccine, I didn't see Trump in the back, mixing it up. He's not involved at the CDC. He's not involved at Moderna or Pfizer or in the clinical trials. So to say that Trump is rushing this through and that all of these people were adhering to Donald Trump is obnoxiously disgusting.
Yeah, and Kamala Harris is on this bandwagon as well. And I can't see anything other, we're told all the time that the left is that's the side of science. They're on the side of science. They're the ones who are not denying like we are on the conservative side. It really is amazing to see them. It doesn't matter what it takes. If they think it will help their agenda or get a couple of votes move the polls 1 point in their direction for a week, they will say whatever they have to.
That's right. They're on the side of science. They've got yard signs. It's not enough to virtue signal on social media. Right. They've got yard signs proclaiming their love for science. But then, heaven forbid, you talk about GMOs or nuclear power or fracking or the speed at which we were able to get this mRNA vaccine. All of a sudden, their love for science disappears quite a bit if it doesn't jive with the radical left agenda. They don't care about science. They care about politics.
I'm curious as to your thought after going through this process, and obviously you look at the media all the time. How do you get people to come on board for this? We are seeing real signs of skepticism, and I'd be lying if I said it was only on the left. I mean, it is significantly on the left after especially what the politicians have been saying on the left. But, I mean, we hear it from our audience sometimes. People are really skeptical of anything that comes out that's a vaccine or comes from some big pharmaceutical company. How do you communicate to them that this is actually safe?
That's a great point, and it's a real problem. I got this vaccine primarily because I thought it would enable me to be able to meet with donors, meet with activists. And in these divisive times, as I learned from my social media, the one thing all of my social network was able to unite on in these divisive times is that I am an idiot for getting the vaccine. Everybody thought, oh, my God, you're crazy. My conservative friends, my liberal friends, all for different reasons, thought I was a nut for getting the vaccine. But here's what we need to recognize. It's incredibly safe. In vaccines like this, side effects typically show up in the first month or two, if there are going to be side effects. Now, people have been testing it for 6 or 7 months. So we know it's safe. We know it's effective. We know that masks can slow the spread, but they're not going to eradicate COVID-19 with masks. If you're sick of all of this, if you want to be done with COVID-19, the only way forward is a vaccine that has now been proven safe with hundreds of thousands of Americans having had it already.
Yeah, I mean, it is really promising. I mean, the results that have come out, they've shown 94, 95% effectiveness. You took the Moderna one, is that right? Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So the Moderna one looks really, really promising. I mean, this is much better than I would have expected, especially in this short of a period of time. Is this one of these things that will kind of just fall into place? I mean, if we go 3-6 months into this, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people have taken the vaccine. We're not seeing side effects. We're seeing a real reduction among these people. Is this one of those things that people are going to be skeptical at first, but when it looks really promising, they come along?
Gosh, I'm really hoping because, as you said, people joke, oh, you're a guinea pig. And I know the people who got the vaccine 6 months before me were the guinea pigs. What I think we'll see, obviously, healthcare workers and folks in nursing homes, folks at highest risk, they're going to be the first to get the vaccine. About 20 million might get it in December. 30 to 35 million in America might get it in January and then again in February. So I think once more Americans see that, wow, 60 million Americans have gotten this vaccine in December and in January and parts of February, maybe then they'll start to feel more comfortable and people will settle down with their fear over it. They'll realize that I haven't turned into a zombie, which my wife predicted, and they'll realize that it's actually very, very safe to get this thing. Especially because these mRNA vaccines don't inject you with the virus.
Yeah,
it's not like flu vaccine.
Talk about that for a second, because this is a totally new type of vaccine. It doesn't inject you with the virus. It basically, the way I've heard it described is they essentially give the plans, the blueprints to your body to create the proteins. Is that right?
That's exactly right. mRNA vaccines, which the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, the technology they use. The other ones by AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, don't use that. They're probably still safe. They might not be quite as effective, but they're the old style of vaccines. But these brand new mRNA vaccines have technology where they inject you with molecules and it tells your body to develop antibodies to protect you against a disease. And it's going to change vaccinations as we know it. And folks who have bad responses to vaccinations because many vaccines have, an egg or chicken and, other things in it, they're not likely to have those negative responses to mRNA vaccines. So it's a fantastic new safe technology. Those of us who love to celebrate American prosperity and ingenuity and innovation should celebrate this vaccine and celebrate this technology. I, for one, am shocked that the Cubans with their amazing healthcare system weren't the first at it.
That's a great point. I haven't heard anything from Venezuela on this. I don't know what's going on. You bring up a great point, and I'm glad you brought this up. I mean, you're a guy who's a conservative guy. You did, was it Americans for Prosperity you were at for a while, Project Veritas, right? Like, well-known conservative organizations, Accuracy in Media as well. I've been surprised at some of the people, at least listeners to the show and people who are on social media, who look at this so skeptically when I look at it as such a victory for capitalism, such a victory not only for capitalism and innovation, but also a victory for the legacy of the Trump administration. I mean, this has been an incredible achievement, I think, that has run through the president, and he's paved the way for this. And then capitalism coming through and solving an impossible problem in record time. I see this as a really wonderful story.
You're absolutely right, and I wish more people would have that mindset. This is an opportunity to spike the football and celebrate a combination of deregulation and economic prosperity. I once heard somebody say that if over the last century our economy had grown by 1% less every year, we would have the same GDP as Mexico. Well then, if our economy was that much smaller, if we were that much less prosperous, would we have had the technology to invent mRNA vaccines? Would we have had the technology to be distributing in mass amounts of vaccine 8 months or 9 months after a disease first spread across the world? This is an incredible story of human innovation, only made possible via prosperity and growth and economic opportunity, and coupled with the fact that the deregulation done through Operation Warp Speed got government out of the way and let private businesses do their job, which in this case was save lives. It's an incredible success story.
Yeah, and we were talking about only 3 of the vaccines now. Who knows how many of these are going to come across the finish line with results like this? It's really promising. One more before I let you go. You're at Accuracy in Media. I feel like the coverage of this story, particularly around the vaccine, but coronavirus overall, the accuracy in the media has not been its strong suit. How do you view this? How do you view this as far as it's played out over the past 8 months?
Well, at a time in which news coverage and sharing information became more important than perhaps any time in most of our lives, the media tragically failed all of us. They got the story wrong again and again and again. They overhyped fear amongst populations that are the least at risk. They focused on stories like you might remember when a Christian group set up a field hospital in Central Park. And instead of celebrating how wonderful that these Christians who aren't from Manhattan are headed to Manhattan and help people out, instead they called them bigots because they only employed Christians at the Christian charity. Their ability to miss the main story and to hype up the fear while simultaneously downplaying the incredible success that is this vaccine is morally outrageous.
Adam Guillette, president of Accuracy in Media. Adam, where's the best place for people to find you?
Sure, our website is aim.org, aim.org. We're active on Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Instagram, everywhere.
All right. Adam, thanks so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, back in a second.